You've heard the phrase 1,000 times, the eyes are the windows to the soul. But what if that wasn't a metaphor? What if your eye color isn't just a genetic accident, but a signature of your soul's intention? Blue, brown, green, hazel gray, or black. Each color carries a pattern, an imprint, a voice. Not in words, but in archetypes. Carl Jung believed there's no such thing as meaningless form. The body, he wrote, is the expression of the soul. So when you gaze into someone's eyes or your own in the mirror, what really stares back? Is it biology? Or is it something much older and far more powerful? What if these colors are not just hues, but archetypal roles your soul chose to play? What if your gaze has been telling your story? Before you ever learned to speak, Jung taught that archetypes live within us, but they also look out from us. The collective unconscious doesn't just speak in dreams, it speaks through your eyes. You've always known the eyes had power. You've felt the pull in someone's stare. Now, it's time to understand why. If you're ready to see yourself really see, then like this video, subscribe to Wealthsci and begin the inward gaze. Because what's behind your eyes might change everything. And tell us, what color are your eyes? Leave a comment below and uncover what your soul has been trying to show you. You've been told that eye color is determined by melanin genes and light refraction. True, but painfully incomplete. Because when Carl Jung looked at the human form, he didn't just see biology, he saw meaning. To Jung, every visible detail, every line on your face, the shape of your hands, the tone of your voice was a whisper from the unconscious. Not chaos, but symbol. The unconscious, he wrote, is not just evil by nature. It is also the source of the highest good, not only dark, but also light, not only bestial, semi-human, and demonic, but superhuman, spiritual, and in the classical sense of the word, divine. Jung, The Symbolic Life. CW 18. Your eyes are no exception. What if eye color reflects not just your ancestry, but your archetypal inheritance? What if that color, blue, brown, green, hazel gray, or black, is a doorway through which your psyche has chosen to speak? Patterns emerge in myth, in symbol, in personality, and yes, in pigment. Archetypes do not limit you. They reveal you. The seeker, the guardian, the alchemist, the shapeshifter, the observer, the keeper of shadows. These aren't personality types. They are living forces within the collective unconscious. They exist across all cultures, hidden in stories, dreams, and now revealed in the gaze. Blue eyes, for instance, often correlate with dreamers, wanderers, mystics, those whose gaze is full of wonder, longing, and the ache of something just out of reach. Brown eyes are more common, but hold ancient power. They often anchor families, hold space, carry wisdom that doesn't need to speak loudly. But it's not just poetry. We react to people's eyes instinctively. Ever felt drawn to someone without knowing why? Ever felt unsettled by someone's stare that seemed too deep, too knowing? That's projection at work, a core Jungian idea. You don't just see them, you see you in them. Jung called projection one of the commonest psychic phenomena. It's how the unconscious reveals itself, by placing parts of you that you can't yet face onto others. The eyes make this easier. They're mirrors, amplifiers. You project longing into blue eyes, safety into brown eyes, mystery into green eyes. And what you see tells you what you're searching for or avoiding. But projection works both ways. Your eyes also evoke reactions in others. People sense your archetype before you speak, not with logic, but with intuition, with the body. Someone might avoid your gaze, not because you're intense, but because your gaze awakens something buried in them. Your color, your archetype activates others. And in that activation lies potential for healing, for conflict, for awakening. Patterns within patterns. In ancient cultures, eyes weren't just organs. They were portals. The Egyptian eye of Horus wasn't a symbol of sight. It was a symbol of perception, of protection, of spiritual knowing. In many traditions, the evil eye is feared not because of what it sees, but what it projects. Even language betrays deeper truths. To be seen is a form of love. A piercing gaze is one that reveals. Eye contact can spark attraction or uncover a lie. So when Jung invites us to look deeper, he's not speaking metaphorically. He's offering a key to the psyche. Your eye color isn't random. It's reflective of how your soul moves through the world, what it came to learn to offer and to see. These are not fixed meanings. They're invitations, not cages, but mirrors. The guardian archetype in brown eyes doesn't mean you're limited to being a caretaker. It means you carry the seed of protection, and your task is to wield it with consciousness, not compulsion. The seeker in blue doesn't doom you to endless longing. It invites you to explore meaning without losing yourself in illusion. So the next time you lock eyes with someone or with your reflection, pause. Ask yourself, what is this gaze saying? What is it seeking? What does it carry that I've refused to face? Every color has a path, and the more clearly you see the pattern, the closer you come to unlocking its power. But what happens when these archetypes meet within you and across others? When the guardian and the alchemist must coexist in one gaze, Carl Jung warned us. Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate. This includes your eyes, the way they see, and the way they are seen. You think your gaze is neutral. It's not. It's charged with mythic intent. The collective unconscious doesn't just dream in symbols. It gazes through your iris. Every eye color isn't just pigment, it's presence. And behind each presence, an archetypal current flowing through the psyche and shaping your path. Let's begin with blue. Blue eyes, the seeker. There's a strange distance in blue eyes. Not cold, but vast. They belong to wanderers, dreamers, the soul in exile. The seeker archetype longs for something beyond the visible world. This gaze looks past people into questions they can't yet ask. You've met them, the person whose eyes seem to hold another world, always halfway in a vision, never fully here. This is the mystic's eye. Those with blue eyes often carry spiritual yearning, a hunger for union with something eternal. But with it comes the shadow loneliness, restlessness, a sense of not belonging. The seeker's challenge is to root the spiritual into the material to find home not by leaving the world, but by sanctifying it. Brown eyes, the guardian. Brown eyes carry the weight of earth. They are steady deep and often underestimated. The guardian is the anchor of the tribe. These eyes watch over others, protecting, nurturing, stabilizing. They don't seek attention, they hold attention. You might notice that people feel safer around you. They open up, they rest, they unconsciously trust your gaze. But the shadow of the guardian is sacrifice, over-responsibility, emotional invisibility. People come to you for support, but forget to ask what you need. The task of the guardian is to protect without dissolving into duty, to embody care with boundaries. Green eyes, the alchemist. Green eyes are rare, and those who carry them often feel that way too. This gaze is paradox incarnate. The alchemist lives at the intersection of opposites, light and shadow, life and death, love and loss. They transform, they transmute. People with green eyes often go through intense cycles of destruction and rebirth. Their gaze can feel magnetic, inviting, and dangerous all at once. They see your potential, but they also see your pain. The alchemist's power is their ability to integrate turning trauma into wisdom, fear into grace. But their shadow is chaos, emotional volatility, too much transformation, too little peace. The journey of the alchemist is to find the still point in the storm, to become transformation without becoming turmoil. Hazel eyes. The shapeshifter. Hazel eyes shimmer. They change in different light, just like their bearer. The shapeshifter doesn't live in one role. They move between identities, truths, worlds. These are the social chameleons, the creative minds, the complex souls who don't fit easy categories. Their gaze is fluid, one moment intense, the next detached. You may feel hard to define. Others may project inconsistency or unreliability onto you. But that's because the shapeshifter refuses false simplicity. Your power is your adaptability. Your gift is your synthesis. But your shadow is losing yourself in masks, forgetting what's behind the performance. The shapeshifter must learn to hold complexity without collapsing into confusion. Gray eyes, the observer. Gray eyes are cool-focused, often unreadable. They belong to the sage, the one who sees without reacting. This gaze pierces illusion. It doesn't chase approval or drama. It studies, it witnesses. The observer archetype brings detached wisdom, pattern, recognition, and profound insight. You might be the one others turn to in crisis, not for comfort, but for clarity. But the shadow of the observer is emotional distance, an over-identification with intellect, a disconnection from the heart. To see clearly is not enough. The observer must also feel, must also engage. Only then does vision become wisdom. Black or very dark eyes. The keeper of shadows. These are the most mysterious eyes. They absorb light, hold silence, and unsettle illusions. The keeper of shadows carries deep unconscious content, ancestral, mythic, primal. Their gaze is often intense, sometimes intimidating. You may find that others either fear you or confess their secrets without knowing why. Your presence acts as a psychic mirror. You reveal what's hidden, but the shadow is isolation, projection. People may mistake your depth for darkness, your mystery for malice. The keeper must learn to own their intensity with grace, to become a sacred container for shadow, not a prisoner of it. Now, pause. Which of these archetypes do you resonate with? Or rather, what color are your eyes, and what story have they been telling without words? This isn't typology. This is archetypal patterning and energetic inheritance from the collective unconscious made visible through the windows of your being. Eye color, of course, can change slightly over time, especially in childhood. But what remains is the gaze, the way your soul peers through, the way others feel seen. You've likely carried this energy since birth, but have you ever stopped to consider its purpose? Why were you given that color? Why does your gaze calm some and provoke others? Why do you attract certain people and repel others? Your eyes are not passive. They are archetypal signals. They transmit, reflect, and awaken. When you begin to understand the archetype behind your eyes, you begin to understand your role in the larger myth. Not as fate, but as invitation. But what happens when your own gaze becomes unbearable? What if the truth it reflects is your shadow? You can't lie to the mirror, especially when it stares back with your own eyes. And what if the eyes you've been avoiding are your own? Carl Jung said, "Everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves." The gaze is one of the most intimate confrontations with this truth. Most people look in the mirror to adjust the surface. You're about to go deeper. Because behind your eye color lies your unconscious, your shadow, your shame, your truth. The shadow isn't evil. It's simply the part of you you refuse to see. That strange discomfort when someone looks at you too long, that's your shadow stirring. And it doesn't speak in language. It speaks in the gaze. Each archetype carries a shadow side, hidden patterns that sabotage you from the inside. The seeker's shadow is emotional escapism, always searching, never resting. Blue eyes may long for the divine, but in that longing, they can flee the here and now. Have you built castles in the sky while abandoning the world beneath your feet? The guardian's shadow is martyrdom. Brown eyes often draw people in with warmth, but become exhausted by invisibility. You give so much expecting nothing, but slowly begin to resent everyone. Have you lost yourself behind the role of protector? The alchemist's shadow is fragmentation. Green-eyed souls transform pain into wisdom, but can also fall in love with the storm. You may confuse chaos for growth or drama for depth. Have you mistaken suffering for meaning? The shapeshifter's shadow is illusion. Hazel eyes reflect complexity, but sometimes it's a shield. You may perform truth rather than live it. Have you worn so many masks that you no longer know who's underneath? The observer's shadow is coldness. Gray-eyed sages can see everything except their own emotional distance. You watch life, but do you live it? Have you hidden behind insight to avoid intimacy? The keeper of shadows carries the most potent shadow. Black or very dark eyes absorb projection like a sponge. You may feel burdened by others' fears, or haunted by depths you've never shared aloud. Have you become so skilled at holding others' pain that you've buried your own? The shadow speaks when the world reflects what you can't accept in yourself, and the eyes are the fastest mirror. Why do you feel judged by a certain gaze? Why do some stares make you shrink, and others make you come alive? You're not just responding to them. You're responding to the you they reflect. Jung called this phenomenon the shadow projection. It's when we see our denied qualities in someone else and either hate them or fall under their spell. Look again at each archetype. Whichever ones repel you may hold the gold you've disowned. Do you secretly envy the groundedness of brown-eyed guardians because you never feel safe in your own body? Do you find green-eyed alchemists too intense because they remind you of your own hidden emotional chaos? Do you avoid blue-eyed seekers because their longing reminds you of your own forgotten dreams? This is how the gaze wounds and heals. It bypasses your intellect. It goes straight to the soul. Some eyes disturb you because they see through you, but maybe what they're seeing is what you've buried. So what now? The answer isn't to fix your eyes or others. It's to integrate what they reveal. Begin with your reflection. Stare into your own eyes for longer than is comfortable. Watch what rises. Memories, feelings, shame, longing, power, stay. Jung believed that healing begins in the tension between opposites. The moment you can hold your shadow and your light without running, you begin to individuate. Individuation is not about becoming perfect. It's about becoming whole. And the gaze is a sacred instrument in this process. Your eyes don't just show who you are. They show who you could be if you dared to face yourself fully. There's a reason why eye contact is powerful in rituals therapy and even in falling in love. It's a portal. When someone really sees you, it awakens your soul. And when you see yourself without flinching, that's the beginning of transformation. But it isn't easy. To look without illusion requires courage. To see your archetype in its light and its shadow, and to own both. It means accepting that your blue-eyed longing might also be a form of escape, that your brown-eyed devotion might be hiding resentment, that your green-eyed transformation might come with chaos, that your hazel-eyed adaptability might leave you unanchored, that your gray-eyed wisdom might be starving for feeling, that your black-eyed intensity might frighten others because you haven't yet embraced it yourself. The eyes are not the soul, but they reveal the soul's alignment, Jung said. The most terrifying thing is to accept oneself completely, and yet it is the only way forward. So ask yourself now, what do your eyes say when you're not speaking? What patterns lie behind your gaze? Who do you become when no one is watching but your own reflection? Look long enough, and you'll see not just your face, but your fate. But that fate isn't fixed, because once you face your shadow, you begin to change the story. And if your gaze holds power, what happens when you choose to wield it? You've seen your shadow in the mirror. You've felt your archetype stirring behind your eyes. Now it's time to claim it. Most people go through life avoiding their gaze, both inward and outward. You won't, because the eyes that once reflected confusion can now channel power. Jung taught that true power emerges not from domination, but from integration. And when you integrate the archetype behind your eyes, something awakens. You become magnetic. The seeker stops searching and starts guiding. The guardian stops rescuing and starts embodying calm authority. The alchemist stops burning down and starts building with fire. The shapeshifter stops hiding and starts choosing form. The observer stops watching and starts witnessing with compassion. The keeper of shadows stops carrying silence and starts channeling presence. People begin to respond differently. They see clarity, not confusion, depth, not fear. Because your gaze no longer reflects fragmentation, it radiates coherence. But this shift doesn't happen automatically. It requires choice. Daily. You must ask, what do I choose to see today? And how do I choose to be seen? This is the moment your gaze becomes intention. Not just perception, but projection. Not just response, but command. You begin to wield your gaze like a silent language. In a meeting, your eyes say, "I see the truth beneath your words." In a conflict, they say, "I hold both fire and restraint." In love, they say, "I witness you and I remain." This is silent power, not loud, not forceful, but undeniable. People can't explain why they feel drawn to you, but they do, because your eyes now reflect a self that is no longer hiding. This shift is also sacred. In spiritual traditions, the gaze is more than human connection. It's transmission. A mystic's eyes transmit presence. A healer's eyes transmit safety. A leader's eyes transmit direction. You don't need titles or credentials. Your integrated gaze is your authority. But stay humble. Power without consciousness becomes manipulation. Your gaze can liberate or dominate. Jung's individuation demands both clarity and care. To hold power in the eyes is to become responsible for what they awaken in others. So, how do you cultivate this first practice, inner seeing? Start each day, not with a to-do list, but a moment of reflection. Look into your own eyes. Ask what part of me needs to be seen today. Then practice outer seeing. When you look at others, see their archetype, not their behavior. See the wounded guardian behind the harsh words. See the disoriented seeker behind the silence. See the emerging alchemist in the chaos. This doesn't mean excusing harm. It means seeing truth deeply enough to respond from wisdom, not reaction. And finally, practice stillness. The most powerful gaze comes from inner calm. Still waters reflect best. The world is full of noise. Your gaze can be a sanctuary, a mirror where others remember their own soul. You've carried this archetype your whole life. Now, you can embody it, not just in silence, but in sight. So when someone asks, "What's with your eyes?" smile. Because you'll know they're not just seeing you, they're seeing what you've become. But there's one final shift left, because when your gaze meets another, and both of you are conscious, that's when everything changes. Now you see. Your eyes were never just for looking out. They were always for looking in. Each gaze you've cast, each glance you've caught, has been a message from the unconscious, a whisper of the archetype you carry, a mirror of the soul still becoming. You began this journey asking what your eye color says about you, but now you know. It's not about the color. It's about the consciousness behind the gaze. When you become aware of what lives behind your eyes, your presence changes. You walk differently. You connect more deeply. You see others not just as they appear, but as they are becoming. This is individuation in action. You're no longer passive in your becoming. You are the witness, the channel, the choice maker. Jung said, "Who looks outside dreams, who looks inside awakes, and you are waking." So what next? Take a moment now to return to your own reflection, not just to admire or analyze, but to honor. Look into your eyes and ask, what is my gaze becoming? Comment below with your eye color and what you've discovered about your inner archetype. And if this journey stirred something deep, subscribe to Wealthsci and walk with us as we continue unveiling the symbols your soul has always spoken. Because we're only just beginning. In our next exploration, we'll dive into the voice, not just how you speak, but the archetype behind your tone, rhythm, and silence. You'll uncover how the unconscious speaks through your words and how to reclaim your voice as a tool of presence and power. But until then, remember, your eyes don't just look, they reveal. They don't just receive light, they carry it.